Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I have a very odd, weird video to share with you today. Generally, as most of you already know, the videos that I tend to do are more uplifting, spiritual, guided techniques and things that I learn in my sessions that I like to share with humanity to lift your spirits. So I have gone back and forth with whether or not to share this information because I don't like to share doom and gloom. And I was also asked not to share certain aspects of this information when it came through a session with a client over this past weekend. And the reason for it was twofold. One, because we don't want to put the person connected to the information in any risk, which I would never share their information anyways. But also because we weren't at a time frame yet where it would be helpful to share the information without um, inadvertently causing uh, people to worry. And that's never my intention. And if I don't have a solution oriented video, at least something to recommend, then I tend not to incorporate my 2 cents into conversations, especially about things going on. So this is really hard to explain, and there are a lot of elements to it. And this is not a fear-based video, so I don't mean to sound like I'm coming off nervous. I just want to be really careful about the words that I use. And I think this is going to be one of those videos where I am a little more disorganized with my thoughts because there's so many different directions that I need to go to explain some of this. So, because most of you have been watching me for some time and you've seen recent lives that I've done with called the Stranger Things kind of theme, we've been going off of that show. And we've been talking a lot, or I've been talking a lot on my channel and in presentations that I've done, as well as in recent books that I've been writing or that I've written about timeline convergence, timeline jumping, timelines collapsing. And I just feel like as the months and the years and months pass, I really am learning more and more about the specifics of that, like the physics of it. I don't tend to look at myself as the most intelligent person out there where when it comes to math and some higher sciences. It's never been my strong suit, which is why I didn't go to vet school. But so I always in sessions when I receive guidance for people, especially if it's kind of beyond my realm of expertise, I quite often tell them to dumb it down for me. I think Z has a funny way of saying it. If you guys know who he is, Zazon, he always says he homerizes everything. So I just want to simplify it. Then I like simplifying things because I work a lot with children. So if I can't explain it to a child, then I clearly don't understand it enough myself. Therefore, I shouldn't be explaining it. That's how I like to look at things. So I kind of shy away from sharing things unless I truly understand kind of all the elements of it. And so over time, through sessions that are coming through in the last 6 months or even this year, they are blowing my mind. And I had no idea. And I'm learning more and more about the specifics or the physics behind certain elements of what's going on in our reality. And I think their movies are doing a really good job of depicting things visually for us to be able to tap in a different way to visually comprehend what's actually going on. So historically, movies have been really used to program us, but I think that there has been a switch in the last 5 years, and a lot of the movies coming out are there to um, awaken us. Now, of course, we have the historic movies like The Matrix, which we all, a lot of us agree it's more of a documentary. So we've had sprinkled in movies throughout our throughout the generations that have been more like fictionalized. A lot of people actually do that. They'll publish books as fiction, but it's a real story. But they do it in a way so that their families stay safe. So they just say it's a made up story, when in reality it's true. Anyways, so what I was getting in 2025, and I've already shared this, is that it was the year of alignment. It's the adjustment. So a lot of us were going through doing the healing process. It was ugly. It was the disclosure started to really come out in many different forms, many different ways. People were activating, awakening. It was chaotic. It was disruptive. And there was a lot of arguing going on within groups of people and families and friends, and even disheartening to even say the spiritual truther community, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there are different pockets of it. We are all not, I can't speak. We are not all connected in one group, but there are a lot of groups that overlap. Let's just say that. And there has been a lot of fighting within these pockets of groups this year that we've seen, where there have been a lot of attacks on certain individuals or the entire groups or anyone affiliated with those groups. So we've seen a lot of chaos in 2025, and a lot of things that we thought we were going to move forward were not moving forward. We saw a lot of financial, devastation, people losing their homes, interest rates skyrocketing, people not being able to afford food. I mean, it's been a crazy year, physically in the 3D, but also metaphysically. Now, I believe a lot of that has to do with the spiritual war. So I always look at things from the macro perspective. So yes, we are having financial issues. Yes, there's things going on with politics, things like that. But I always look at things from the metaphysical perspective. Okay, so what is happening? While all of this is happening here, what is happening out there, like metaphysically and an energetic level? And this readjustment and realigning is the spiritual war. And there truly has been a war going on actually for eras of time. This is nothing new. It's just gotten to a point where Earth or Gaia has become a focal or central point in this spiritual war, because there are a lot of reasons that I don't have time to go in, but this is a focal point. This is kind of like the hot spot of where the war is occurring, because this planet is very important by its location, resources, and many other things. So we have had these timeline wars going on, and I did videos already on this about inorganic timelines versus organic timelines, and that can happen as at an individual level. So the timelines and the that I'm creating for myself, and then the timelines that are being created for the collective. So there are what I would call like artery or dominant timelines, where majority of us are tuned into, and then there are the inorganic timelines where the dark players, or through AI and lots of technology, will try to pull our consciousness through hijacking of the mind into lesser timelines, where we are present in the physically present in this life, but in an or inorganic timeline that may be playing out almost like a video game, not even like holographically. We it can be devastating or harmful to us in this timeline, because aspects of ourself are being used against our will in these other timelines to pull us into those and pull more energy, in essence, into those other timelines. So it could cause psychosis, it could cause massive depression, fatigue, because our energy is being siphoned someplace else. And really, it's against our will. Then there are the organic versions of that. So there are versions where, and I've talked about this a million times, where I have, chose not to get married or chose not to have children or whatever. There's an infinite amount of choices we can all make. And I've explained this so many times that if there's not a lot of energy behind the choice of me, let's say, not getting married and not doing the work that I'm doing today, and that choice that I could have made, let's say in door number two, um, at one point, it just fizzles out. That it just the energetically, it just transmutes and it doesn't really take off. Um, And that's that happens to a majority of us. So there's lots of versions of us doing lots of different things, making lots of different choices. But at some point, if there's not enough energy to back it up and you're not really learning much from it, or it's not really contributing much, then that other choice or that organic alternative timeline may just dissolve. Now, if there's another version of me doing something else that's really important, then I have the ability, we all do, to fractal our consciousness and be in more than one place at once. And I can be doing something completely different in another timeline that's just as important as this one, that may overlap in eras. Like it could be literally this exact year, but another version of me in another country, and I may never meet that version of myself. I could be male, could be a different age. I could be an old man right now. Who knows? I could just be born. This is really complicated, so bear with me here. What's important to discern right now are the inorganic timelines, the timelines that they are trying to pull us out of this main ascension timeline. The timeline where I always talk to you guys about, where I say the reason why I know within my soul, without a doubt, that we are evolving and we are in a higher timeline, is because I know I would not continue to see children as clients that are volunteering to be born into this reality. They just would not come if we were in a doomsday timeline. If this timeline wasn't an ascension timeline anymore, it's something changed, then they would stop coming in. They would literally just the frequency would shift, the window for them to come in, the frequency kind of birth portals would not open up, and they would cease to come through. And that has not occurred in the last decade or so of me working with children, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. If anything, it's speeding up and more advanced children are coming through. So I know that the timeline that my consciousness is connected to, and likely all of you that are watching this video, are in the higher timeline. That does not mean that we don't have a spiritual war taking place where the powers that were, the dark players, utilizing an infinite, literally an infinite amount of 3D interference techniques, are trying daily, tirelessly to pull us, meaning pull our mind, because it's a spiritual war, but they use our primal aspect of our human nature to hijack our minds and and fragment us by encouraging us to have negative thoughts, to do negative things, to pull us into these other timelines. I've explained this many times. So what's happening right now is because these beings have, what I was told in the session, which there's a reason I'm being allowed to share. And when I say allowed, I'm not being controlled by anybody. I don't have a handler. I go with my heart and my soul and what I feel is beneficial to share for the highest good of humanity. So what I mean by what I'm about to share is I received the go ahead with my heart that some of this information is okay to share, because there's a positive intention and an explanation, and it needs to be brought to everyone's attention. My apologies for this long-winded video. If you need to watch this at 2-3 times speed, please go ahead when you watch this so you get through it faster. About 3 months ago, roughly around 3 months ago, so this is just December, November, October-ish, let's just say September, October-ish, because time is really hard to pinpoint right now in this time matrix because it's speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. I was told that there was a inorganic negative timeline that was building momentum. And that timeline had a catastrophic ending where an atomic bomb was going to go off and we would all cease to exist. And that was because the players that are angry and want to be and are losing got pissed off and said, all right, well, we're not going to win. So F it. let's just game over and just blow the whole planet up. I actually got an area of the world where it is. I can't say, but it's in a mountain. And I just saw this mountain open up. And, anyways, so what's interesting about that is, and I'm going to spoiler alert. So, there's a movie on Apple TV. I'm sorry, a series. And over the holidays, I had some extra time on my hands because I took a little bit of time off for the holidays because I had family in town. And so we binge watched Stranger Things and we went to see the Avatar movie and some other shows on Netflix, things like that. Well, I have Apple TV and I watched the show, I can't remember, Pluribus. I'm not even sure how you say that word. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but it has to do with, I'm not giving anything away right now, but it has to do with the main character. There's an alien virus that comes and takes over from another planet, Earth and its people, and turns kind of like an apocalyptic type of video. But instead of people going crazy and killing each other, they develop a connective consciousness of like a hive mind, though, of complete utopia, like peace and harmony, no war, no conflict. Like they're just walking around like completely oblivious and happy all the time, no worries, nothing's wrong, and they're just, and and you think to yourself, oh, who wouldn't want that? I think that they were trying to depict like, well, what's so bad about that? Everybody's happy, there's no more conflict. Didn't seem like people needed to work. uh and I won't give some of the spoilers away of things and the ways that these people needed to eat. But one of the things about them is they couldn't lie and they couldn't say no to requests. And there were, I think, a dozen known people in the world that were not affected. And they couldn't figure out why those weren't affected. But the main character is one of the women that was not affected. And she had a real problem with the way, like this whole scenario, and said we should have free will. And I don't want to be happy all the time. This is not real. This is an illusion. It's fake. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more to the story than that. But she would make requests and they would have to give it to her. And so eventually she started kind of playing the game and just seeing what she could get, and she would ask for things and they would sure enough show up at her house. One time she asked for a hand grenade, and they came and she thought it was fake and actually blew up her house and almost killed herself. So she was like, oh my God. And they were like, no, you asked for it. We give it to you. This is the part that if you haven't seen the show and you don't want the spoiler alert, then please mute me or fast forward about 30 seconds. So the last, so throughout the final episodes of the show, she realized that they were figuring out a way to turn her and those 12 people into them. Um, and they needed their consent at first, but then there was a way that they could bypass their consent with this one woman, which I won't say how. Anyways, in the end, I think the lady lost hope and realized there's nothing I can do about it. And instead of me being turned, my last request is this. And the show ended with a helicopter dropping a big, huge box on her driveway. And one of the other guys who doesn't speak English, who found her, who is also unchanged, came to her in the last scene of the episode and said, what's in the box? And all she said is atomic bomb. And that was the end of the show. That's how they ended the series. And I was like, what? So clearly, the synopsis here is that she was just going to blow up. Her plan was, well, fuck it, I'm going to blow up the planet then, because I won't let them change me. So, why is this relevant? Well, I thought about that when I was doing the session with this woman, and I was like, there was a show that depicted that was a very viable option, and but they put it in the choice of the humans. So I thought that was odd. So anyways, what they told me is that there was a very viable alternative timeline where they had pulled enough people's consciousness in various ways. Now think about Stranger Things. If you haven't seen Stranger Things, they basically there's this main character or main being entity that is so powerful that he's able to control the minds generally through vulnerable people, and he targets children, gains Lucia's power from them, and through manipulation and mind hijacking, he can control them and then hypnotize. Basically, and that's really just voice to skull technology, them showing you how that's possible. But instead of Vecna or a entity, it's actually it's AI, is the real way that works. So through that technology, they have been able to hijack a lot of people's minds around that time, supposedly, where that was a viable option, where they were going to just get rid of everybody. Now, I want to be very clear, and I'm going to say it twice so people are not afraid. That timeline is not viable anymore. It was made very clear that is not happening. So please don't be afraid. That will not occur, but that was definitely something that was being fought, let's say, against months ago, September, October-ish. And thank goodness that is not even that like that has been that timeline has completely been dissolved. It was not successful. So that is not occurring. However, what is occurring right now, and part of what she didn't want me to share in this session, her guides, was that there are a lot of NPCs right now, and the NPCs that they are, I don't want to be specific at all because I want to be careful. These beings said that the types of NPCs that they're talking about are the ones that are the 3D people who are not spiritually open, not activated at all, completely closed off, and are buying into all the agendas, the narratives, still watching the news. The people seemingly walking around having absolutely no idea what's going on in the world. And a lot of them are NPCs in the sense, metaphorically speaking, that they're kind of in a hypnotic state. And that's what they're calling NPCs, basically. They're like they're not even really 100% present. Like their soul isn't completely online because they've got so much technology feeding into their mind. They've gone themselves into loops. So they are in the mindset of, you know, disease, lack, I'm not good enough, things are not going to get better, fear, uh, you know what I'm saying, lots of things like that. There are many other types of NPCs. I've explained this before. Other NPCs are when entities actually fully take over somebody. It could be somebody you know, and the soul of the person is kind of sitting in the back seat of their own vehicle, their own avatar, while another entity just completely takes over. And those are the people that you're like, I don't know who that is, but that is not my friend anymore. That is not my mom anymore. And you can almost see a darkness, like a dark fog around them where you know, maybe the soul is not even anywhere near. Maybe this, and then there are NPCs where the soul has completely been taken over and the soul is someplace else, and whether they've taken it to the void or it's just crossed over and now that body is just being used by some other entity. That's another form of an NPC. Another form of NPCs are clones. They don't have souls, they're hive-minded consciousness. Another form of NPCs are shapeshifters that come into this reality, which I'm bringing that up for a reason. So what's happening right now is they're attacking the current timeline that is of high vibration, that is ascending. That is not changing no matter what they try, but they are trying. So what they explained to me is that there's actually an astral war taking place right now in the fourth dimension. So not in our dimension, but in the fourth dimension. Now, the fourth dimension I've talked about a lot. That's where a lot of these children's minds are being hijacked and taken to. And it could be like kind of referencing like the underworld or upside down world in Stranger Things, or I often refer to it as a version of the void. Lots of different ways you can explain the fourth dimension. That's where the home of the shadow beings, the darker entities, the lower astral entities, that's where they live, in the fourth dimension. And they unfortunately um created this where we are in the third dimension and they are the fourth dimension. So they are the guardians, or they have been the gatekeepers, preventing us from raising our frequency so that we can go into the fifth dimension. And that's what's been occurring for thousands of years, through negative loop systems, hijacking the mind, et cetera, through all the different variations of 3D interference and programming through schooling and all the things I've already talked about. So right now, because things got serious and that atomic bomb timeline was could have been, and to be honest with you, I don't think it was ever going to happen. Um, but the point is that enough momentum got behind it that it got the attention of a lot of galactic beings, and especially Lyrans. And I'm saying this for a reason because this is the reason I'm sharing this today. And I apologize if I am confusing you guys or talking too fast. There are a lot of Lyrans plus a lot of other guardian species. So guardian species are universal beings that come from different universes, and they are the guardians, the overall like representers of God or source, that generally are in the form of any sort of like feline, avian, whale, dragon, and I'm forgetting, and of course angelics. Those are what we call guardian species. And we have a lot of guardians in our reality as volunteers. It's a whole nother collective group of beings, that I've learned about, fairly recently within the last year or so. And these guardians are people just like us that are time travelers, that are connected on a much higher frequency to much higher versions of themselves as guardian species, souls, that traverse time and space in this universe right now, because this is the one we're focusing on, to help clean up. They're part of the cleanup crew, and they're like helping to make decisions on how to help us, because they're, in 3D terms, we have a lot of cousins. They have a lot of cousins trapped here, if you want to look at that way. There are a lot of Andromedans, Pleiadians, Sirians that have, et cetera, Hadarians that have family, soul family here on this planet, that in some time, in some place, in some way, their aspect or a fractal of their soul got trapped here and have been here for many cycles. So their cousins are here, and so these galactic beings have a vested interest in helping because they want to help their families get out of here and also help Gaia ascend her planet and clean up, so we're boots on the ground, we're in the cleanup crew. So they are helping right now in vast quantities because of what I mentioned. So in the fourth dimension, let's say, to use the reference Stranger Things, there is a war occurring in the underworld, in the upside down world, in the void, in the fourth dimension, whichever version of that makes sense or resonates with you. And there are a lot of galactic beings fighting tirelessly right now, like in the last few months, heightened than I've ever seen before, assisting and helping us mitigate the threat. So they are, doing what they need to do. I don't know the specifics. I didn't ask. I don't really care to see, but I just know that there are a lot there. There is an actual spiritual war occurring in the fourth dimension right now on our behalf. And it's not just the guardian souls, and it's not just galactic warriors from the galaxies from all over. There are versions of us as well fractals of us, not everybody, but there are a lot of people, fractals of humans that are there as well. So they're feeling very fatigued, very drained, um, out of sorts, confused, disoriented, maybe waking up with bumps and bruises on their bodies, feeling like heightened attacks, psychic attacks, heightened anxiety. All of this is because they're bleed throughs. Now, as a result of this fourth dimensional war that's occurring right now, in real time, right now as we speak, what's happening is, and now it makes sense to me because I've spoken about this several times already on a few lives. And I learned about this through animal communication sessions, and now they're coming through my adult sessions. Because of this war that's taking place, which is right on the barrier of our dimension where the third is, there are dimensional tears occurring as a result of just the trauma and the increased energy and electromagnetic pulses being sent out by the bad ones to hurt the good ones. And then there are ships that are also sending pulses to the people, EMP pulses to us, and to create, to block out the sun so we don't get the light codes, to create a film or a fog or an energetic frequency to put people back to sleep up here so that we stop activating and awakening. So it's happening out here as well. It's just showcasing in different ways. But these dimensional tears are causing literal rips in just like in Stranger Things, where, in someone's home, they could just go through, there was a tear in their living room and it took them to the underworld. There are rips, like in wallpaper, just rips in the dimensions, where it's not the best thing, actually, because what I'm seeing are shadow beings entering our reality more than I've seen before. And they are causing havoc. They are part of the NPCs. They are shape-shifting or pretending to be people, but they can be odd, or maybe they just seem really off. And they are here to just cause chaos and to make people like literally feel bad. So their energy they're giving off is like making people feel drained, depressed, uh, just like doomsday energy. Okay, why am I even sharing this? Because this is super negative, I know, but bear with me here. I promise this is a positive thing I'm sharing. Bear with me here. I have a lot of clients actually that have animal sanctuaries. One of these clients is a woman in a state, I'm not even going to say because I don't want to give too many details, but she has taken it upon herself, she's an older woman, to use all of her savings to spay and neuter and to put food and water and shelter out for cats in the city that she lives in and surrounding cities, uh, eliciting help from volunteers and certain staff. And that is her thing. She is clearly a Lyran soul, and she is watching over as a guardian of the felines. Now, we had a breakthrough session the other day, which is why I decided to share this information today. And it came through her session, and this is going to make sense in a minute. She's having a really hard time because a lot of the cats are not making it. A lot of kittens are being born, they're freezing to death, they're dying. Um, she's not able to expand her reach as much as she wants. A lot of the people that are helping her are quitting or not reliable or have stole money from her. So it's clearly the dark side working against her. But the question here is, what's going on with all these cats? Why is there an influx of feral cats? Because it's specifically feral. And what came through in my session was so clear to me And it's come through in other sessions in different ways, but not this powerful. We know that domestic cats are here for us as our companions, but they are more astral. So they protect us in the astral realm. So they'll sleep with us. They're in our homes. They are domesticated to a sense where they can be part of our family, but they are still very dissociated and have the ability to just pop out of their body at will. And they are guardians of the astral realm, which is why a lot of them are up all night because they know when the veil is the thinnest and they guard portals to make sure that people's homes are protected from these dimensional tears from occurring. Feral cats, on the other hand, are more like wildlife in the sense that their purpose is they are guardians, just like the Lyrans, but not all feline guardian, universal guardian spirits are Lyrans. They can be not even from this universe. What they're showing me is there is an influx of feral cats that are all over, cities all over. And what they are doing is they are closing these dimensional tears and being literally boots on the ground, grid workers, neutralizing the threat, harmonizing and fighting for us on behalf of us, in between the third and fourth dimension, because they have the ability to go into the fourth, third, and fourth easily back and forth. And so I'm letting her know you have to stop feeling because she's getting sick. She's taking on this guilt and shame that she's not saving enough and they're dying and they're not all making it. And I got the clearest message that I needed to share with her. And what the message was is, listen, these are universal guardian souls, very high frequency, that are just simply using the bodies of these kittens or cats, and they just need to come through the birth portal into our world. And it could be just for a moment, just to lay an egg of energy, just to sprinkle a frequency, just to do one simple thing, and they're out, in and out, pop in and out. That's why the kittens are not making it. Or they could live to be 6 months, they could be live to be years, and why so many are replicating, why we have to have so many kittens, so much breeding, and that's why she's not being able to catch as many to fix them, because they are multiplying for a reason, because they are playing a pivotal role in the spiritual war right now, where they are working as guardians souls, spirits, to protect the us here. And so I needed to get her this message that please take the burden off of your soul and your heart, that you are supposed to save these cats and reshape your thinking and understand that they are telling her we are not all supposed to survive. And we are grateful and we have lots of love and gratitude. And thank you for being our guardians. And thank you for feeding us, giving us shelter, and protecting the ones that are supposed to stick around. But the ones that do not make it, the ones that you cannot catch, the ones that you cannot save, aren't, it's not your fault. And they are leaving. They're coming and going at their own time and speed for a reason that is beyond her awareness, her choice, has nothing to do with her. But that is when I had to explain to her in the session what I was told about the dimensional war, because I was told in the session she needs to understand this further. So I explained what's happening in the fourth dimension and how there are these wars going on and these guardian spirits everywhere, human, both human and guardian non-human. Like I said, avian species, feline species, dragon species, whale species are the main ones, are playing their role and they are working tirelessly. And so, she needed to understand why there was such an influx of cats, and it's not actually a bad thing. Now, and I said, I understand from a human perspective of being an empath, and me, I'm just as much of an animal lover as you are. It is heartbreaking for us to see an animal die or not make it or starve to death. But they're telling me that they have the ability to dissociate, and they're just using the bodies of these cats, these felines, simply as a vessel. And then they pop right out. And then those bodies will decompose and be part of Gaia again in nature. And on top of that, the nature spirits are helping us. The squirrels the birds. I have been seeing, and I don't know about you, I even filmed it on my phone, and I'm gonna figure out a way to share this. There have been like pockets of thousands of birds. Now I go running every day in the morning. I try to at least, especially if it's not raining. And it's not just when I'm running, when I'm driving, I've noticed thousands of birds that look like they're migrating are doing these like crazy patterns in the air where they're just like going and they're like swaying back and forth and this odd flight patterns. And the other day it caught my attention, and when I was running, I actually stopped and filmed them because I was like, what the heck? And I tapped into them and I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they tuned in and they were saying they were doing terraform. I mean, they're terraforming. They are mitigating the trails, the sea trails, and helping humanity like clear the debris, the negative energetic debris that is hijacking our minds, making us feel loss of hope, um, and helping us with these timeline wars. So it's clearly not just the cats. That's just one example, and it helped that lady really take the pressure off herself and understand that it's okay if they don't all make it. They're not actually supposed to. They're playing a role, just like we are all playing our role. I'm sure the squirrels are doing the same thing. I'm sure possums, I'm sure animals all over the world are doing their version of this, because the animal kingdom is doing their part in helping. And I'm sure they're part of the astral war as well in the fourth dimension, helping us. So, good news in all of this is that when I was tuning in this morning and debating, should I really share this video? Because again, I am a solution-based oriented person and I don't want to share information where people will walk away in fear. I just can't do it. That's just not my thing. So I got an overwhelming feeling of no, this needs to be shared because you need to talk about the cats and what happened with this woman and what happened in that session, tying into the atomic bomb reference of the show. And um, that there are a lot of guardian spirits, bridge souls, and ascended beings all over the planet playing their role, anchoring in their light, doing our, as humans, doing our own version of grid work. So depending on where we live, we are pulling in light codes, frequencies that are different for everybody, depending on like who am I connected to, and versus who you're connected to galactically, or even indigenously through this planet, and both. And my toroidal field is vibrating out a very specific recipe, let's say. And it has a lot to do with where I live. So for me, for example, I have a lot of Lyran and angelic and aquatic, like because I live near the ocean energy, and that's kind of like my recipe. There's more to it than that. I'm just simplifying it. And that's the energy that I am, my toroidal field is giving off right now because it's needed where I live, harmonizing, balancing, terraforming with the water, using the water elements. Then there are others that might live in Arizona using the red rock, the power of the rocks and the mountains, and the portal systems over there in the sacred land. Then there are those in the mountains, and then those in the forests, and then those in the deserts. So depending on where you live, who you are, where you're connected to, what your soul origin and ancestry is, and how connected you are to Gaia and the nature elements and the fairy realm and higher dimensions like the fifth and beyond. We're all playing our role. We're all tapping into lots of different things, receiving codes, and we are making a difference. We are affecting, and that's why they're trying so hard to sabotage us because they know that basically at this point we are unstoppable. And a lot of the children and adults seem to be disruptors. That's a big theme that I'm seeing with the rainbow group is that they are disruptors. So those kids are all at preteens at this point and younger and even into early 20s. So all their whole purpose is just to disrupt. So we have think about the matrix as like a circuit board or a fabric, like a what's it called? A quilt or something that's the, in the fabric of the quilt is overlapping, however that works. Anyway, either one of those metaphors. Um, they are inserting their frequencies and anchoring in their frequencies, just like we are, but in a different way. Like some of us are here to harmonize, re-terraform, and balance. Then there are others that are the warrior spirits that here are just to just fuck shit up and just bulldoze through and break signals and um, really rile things up. And then there's these disruptors, these children energetically who are here to block the signals, break down the technology from working, and it's working. Everybody's doing their role and we're playing it together and it is working like twofold. So that's the positive part of this message, that although all of this negative set things were a potential, we are so far like comets in the sky. We're moving so fast in this ascension process that 2026 truly is the year of movement, um, which is the year of the horse. And now we're moving forward and we are shifting into our power. So this is the year that we need to, and right now, doesn't even need to be no, well, we already in this year, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Right now, we should be standing in our power and saying, I do not consent, and taking care of ourselves so that our minds are not hijacked and we are not capable of being intercepted by a vector mind or a hive-minded consciousness, or we are not susceptible to dimensional tears. I get a lot of questions from people, oh my God, how do I know if there are portals in my home? How do I know if there are tears? Well, one, your animals will let you know because if you have animals, they will close them for you. They will see them and they can find them. If you don't know, there are a lot of different ways to mitigate that. And my two favorite and what I've been using recently is whenever I feel like it could be once a day or it could be a couple times a week. I visualize from underground about 30 feet to about 30 feet up above my house, the violet flame activating in the middle of my house. And it just, like a little tornado that starts as a baby and then it just gets bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, it's expanded out, you know, miles. So there's the violet flame that just it transmutes any and all lower frequencies, densities, and that will take care of dimensional tears. It will patch them right up. Then after that, what I do is I envision just like my house is in a cylinder. Let's say I have a very small, my house is real tiny inside this bottle in the center. And if I were to fill this up with sink water from the bottom, it would start to fill slowly, 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 all the way to the top. What I visualize is that my property and even 20, 30 feet outside of my property line. So you are kind of infringing upon your neighbors, but this isn't going to hurt them. You are visualizing yourself in a cylinder, prism, of like boundaries of light. And from about 20, 30 feet below your home, you envision like the soil turning into like liquid gold. And the golden frequency just starts to seep up. And next thing you know, it's seeping up through the floors of your home and like everywhere outside, just like in a cylinder. And anyone in it, animals, people, furniture, every aspect of the home, the walls, just is filling up with golden light all the way around, above. So it's hitting every dimension. And that will also patch up any tears or portals. And then, of course, your intention is the most powerful. So your intention is you're saying, I do not consent to any entities or beings or portals or dimensional tears in my home, in my sacred space that is not serving my highest good. And you claim your power, stand in your power. And just think about yourself in the present moment. Look down at your feet every morning when you wake up, stand up, look down at your feet and say, I'm in the present moment. I am consistently in the highest possible timeline. and you do not give any wiggle room for the universe to like ad libs, fill in the blanks for you. If you claim it every single day. I am in the highest, myself and my family, or if it's just you, I am in the, I am consistent. I'm grateful that I am consistently in the highest possible timeline. Now, last thing I want to talk about today are the things that you can do to help your body. These are my recommendations. This is also Anxiety Awareness Month, so I'm going to be doing a live on Wednesday. I'm going to be, I'm sorry, Thursday of this week with some special guests, and I'm going to be talking about some of this stuff again. So I'll be repeating myself. But some of the things that I recommend right now, I was told in a session, I believe it was an Arcturian being weeks ago. I had a soul kind of push nudge about a year ago to start red light therapy. So I've been doing it for about a year. And in the last 4 to 6 months, I sped that up exponentially. I just felt I could feel the benefits. And now I do it 4 to 5 days a week. And it's a commitment, 15 minutes a day, but I go to a place that is full body and it's the 15 minutes is the max you can do anyway. So it doesn't take a lot of my time. There are a lot of versions of them. You can buy home units that are panels. So just think about, I'm not telling you to buy the most expensive thing, but money does matter. So the quality. So just don't buy the most expensive, but also let's not buy the most cheap item you can find. Anyways, so my point is that not only does red light and infrared light work in tandem because the red light helps the outside of the body, the skin, the nails, the hair, help with teens with acne. The skin is the barrier in between the non-physical and the physical aspect of ourselves. So our skin is actually extremely important. So that's why sunlight is so important for us. And they're trying to block out the sun. So obviously my first recommendation is get 15 minutes of sunlight a day if you can. It doesn't have to be, in the middle of the sun, like right in your face, but I mean, that's what I do if I can. So sun is number one. Natural sunlight is going to be the most important thing if you can do it. Even in the winter months, if it's cold and there's a sunny day, use the opportunity to go and get 15 minutes worth of sun a day. We need that sunlight, those light codes. But what I was told is that red light, the infrared light specifically, in combination with red light, because infrared will penetrate deep to a cellular level. So I use that also because I'm a runner for inflammation in the body, circulation. I mean, you name it, it helps with it. So I use red light for pretty much everything, whole body, aches and pains, inflammation, joint pain, digestive issues, women's issues, cramping, whatever, headaches. I use red light for, I mean, it just works for everything, especially infrared, because that really penetrates deeper into the body. Anyways, this Arcturian being told me that red light can open and activate your pineal gland. So that I think is one of those secrets that they have kept from us, where they don't, I don't think red light has been used for quite a long time because they haven't wanted us to know about that. So, one small thing, I want to warn people, this was new, it came to me today. It's better that you get high quality bulbs. And yes, the red light and infrared, the power of that does mitigate the risk of the LED and the EMPs, because I did think about that. That's why you want to get the highest quality you can get that you can afford. But avoid the ones that you put on your face. There's some nefarious aspect of that technology where I'm not getting a good vibe about it. So just be careful with those weird face ones. And when you see celebrities advertising things like that and they're becoming really popular, I always kind of feel like, I don't want that now because they're talking too much about it. So there's must be a reason. So just be careful with the face unit. I like to keep the bulbs, even the one that I have at home, it's a dome unit that I can put over my body, but it only covers, about 12 inches in diameter to 24 width. It's still 3 to 4 inches away from my body, so it's not touching. Now I know the saunas that you can buy that you can go in, like the ones you zip up, they have a protective layer for burning, so I think those are probably okay. Of course, sauna techno or red light sauna, infrared and red light saunas at spas and things are also a great alternative. Some of them even have Himalayan salt that sprays out while you're in there. So versions of red light therapy are going to be great, but fun fact, I did not know that it opens the pineal. And my psychic abilities have like quadrupled. I've noticed, and I think it has to do with my increase in red light that I've been doing in the last 4 to 6 months. Um, Going with Anxiety Awareness Month, this is more about that, but I think but I also recommend this for everybody right now to keep your consciousness, your mind, keeping your body at home and at a homeostatic space where you're less likely to be hijacked, so you're in a higher vibration. I'm recommending these things. Vitamin D, vitamin D3 specifically. Even though I live in Florida and I am in the sun probably more than most people, I still take vitamin D. Well, not that much because in the days where I'm outside a lot, I don't. But when we have weeks go by where it's raining and I'm not outside, vitamin D3 is really important. We need vitamin D. Vitamin D, if we have a deficiency, which I believe most people in this world do, it can cause depression. I mean, so many slews of health effects it can cause. Vitamin D3 is great. It's just more, what's the word? I wrote notes here. Where did I write? It's more absorbable. Um, and it's incredible. It's an energy booster and it helps a lot. Now you want to take K2 with it. So usually those come in pairs. So I buy one that is vitamin D3 K2 combination. And they're lying to us about how much vitamin D we should be getting. I mean, I think they say it's even destructive if you take more than 4,000 IU a day, which I think is funny because people who are deficient on it through blood tests, the prescription strength is 10,000 a day. So it's like, that's weird. So I'm not a doctor. Again, disclaimer real quickly, I need to say, I'm not prescribing any of these medications. I am recommending you research these things. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm not telling you to take these doses, but I have been getting, anywhere between 5 to 10,000 a day is a good amount. Again, I didn't tell you to take that. That is just something you should research. Magnesium is another one. We are severely deficient in magnesium, I believe, as a collective. It's just has to do with our energy production. So, those that are struggling with anxiety and feeling of fatigue, uh, you know, take magnesium as a supplement every single day if you can, or 4 or 5 days a week. It helps with energy production, but most importantly, DNA repair, which if we are activating dormant DNA right now, we need assistance in uh, mitochondrial production and energy and assistance in our body. So vitamin D, I mean, I feel like the all-star like package here would be the vitamin D3, the K2, and the magnesium to help with all of that. There are many other things you can take. I'm not a big supplement person, by the way, disclaimer. So I'm not really good at taking things every day, and I believe that your body should get to a point where it should generate these things on your own. So I'm a big person where like I might do something for a couple of weeks and then I take a break. And because I want my body to be able to do it on its own. I don't want to rely on supplements. Also, I try to eat foods that have those, like I eat a lot of avocados and tomatoes, things like that, and fruit. So give your body a chance to get itself to self-regulate. without bombardment of too many supplements. I had a client who said she's on 103 supplements. I almost fell out of my chair. That's a lot. So, be mindful, muscle test, use your intuition on what you should use, and take breaks. How often you take breaks, or if you even agree with me at all, you might be like, this lady's insane. Like, what do you mean take breaks? You got to build up in the system. Okay, do whatever you want, whatever resonates. I'm just telling you what I do. I like to give my body a break, and I don't like taking something every single day. But if I have to take something for several weeks to feel the benefit, and then um, I'll take a break because I want my body to be able to self-regulate those hormones, and then I try to supplement through diet. And again, I'm a big advocate for grounding, going out in nature, um, being just near plants and animals and fresh air, as fresh air as we can get, being in the water in the ocean that I have, or putting your foot in the river or a lake. Um, eh, Take advantage of the natural elementals of the planet. Um, Ashwagandha, great for mood regulation and relaxation. Big fan of that as well. And red light therapy, I mentioned, lymphatic drain, huge. If you can find a lymphatic drain center near you and you can afford it, get lymphatic. We need to our lymph node. That's part of a big part of why we are so inflamed. We need to drain our lymph nodes. So whether you do that through manual manipulation, which there are a lot of videos to help people do that, especially if sinus infections and you drain your lymphs, and there's ways to do that. Or you go to a massage, lymphatic massage person. Or my personal favorite is you buy a vibration lymphatic drain plate. You can get them on Amazon, and you literally stand on it and it vibrates really fast, and you're like, and you look silly and you feel funny, but it gets the circulation moving in the body and helps the lymphatic system. So I have one of those I use quite often. Liver oil, I'm sorry, castor oil um, is great for liver detox. So I do that quite often. I put a castor oil pack on my liver and I sleep overnight. And I do that several times a month to do liver detox. I also am a big fan of cupping. So I do that once a month. So whatever your budget is, whatever you can afford, you pick and choose. Some things are free, some things are not. So you kind of decide what works best for you. For those of you that don't know what cupping is, it's actually an ancient technique, where they there's different types of cupping, but they put these glass, some of them are plastic, uh, cups on your back, and they create a suction. So it actually kind of hurts at first. And then they place them all over your back, sometimes your arms, sometimes your legs. And then you sit there for 10 to 15 minutes and it pulls out the toxin. So when you're done, like it looks, you could tell the areas where it had the most toxins because on those areas will turn purple, like a dark purple color. Others will be just a little bit red. So you can always tell where you had the most toxins pulled out of your body. I highly recommend doing that. I do it like once a month. And it's actually not that expensive. Um, so that's and some of them do red light laser therapy while you're doing the cupping. So they'll laser red light over the areas so anyways. Um, Gosh, there was a few other things I wanted to say, but I'm sure this video is way longer than I intended. I apologize for talking so much. But I just want to, the reason I'm suggesting all of these things is there are free things you can do. I still believe our superpower is our intention and our visualization and our ability to create affirmations. What are we co-creating by what are we thinking about? What are we focusing our attention on is the most important. So if we detach from the world and say, you know what, I'm just going to, for the next week, stay off social media, only watch positive things that make me laugh. I'm going to spend some time with my family. I'm going to do a jigsaw puzzle and just distract my mind or build adult Lego or go outside in nature, uh, play in the dirt, go in the ocean, do some grounding exercises and try some of these other supplements and these things. So that is the most powerful is our intention. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. So you don't have to have money to do any of these things. So if you don't have money to get these supplements or do red light therapy or lymphatic drainer, it's okay. I truly believe that we have the most powerful thing we have is our intention and what we put out into the universe. What are we instructing the universe? What are we saying? So what you say every day is, I'm so grateful. I am sovereign. I am healthy. I am in control. I am not consent. I do not consent to any timelines that are not of my highest good. And I am grateful that I am universally protected, supported, and loved. And whatever you want to say. And every day I always say, I'm so grateful that I'm in the highest possible timeline and my family, of course. So our intention is the most powerful. If you find that you're not a visual person, please don't worry because clairvoyance is actually just one of the clairs. And what I'm finding more and is more powerful than clairvoyance, the ability to see, is the ability to just receive downloads, like just knowing, like you just know something. And that is what I'm seeing more of people activating. And the problem with that is people are second guessing. They don't believe, they're like, is this real? I don't believe it, Cherry. I just had this whole download, or I just know something and I don't know where it came from. Believe it. Believe in yourself. Break these programs, break these cycles of negative loops, mind hijacking. Be mindful of who you're friends with, who you allow into your life, what music you listen to. And brain heart coherence is probably the biggest. We want the mind and brain to be in harmony together. So I have whole chapters of that in my book, Courage to Change the Freedom Movement. So I don't have time to go into that right now. Um, I hope this video was helpful today. We have the absolute ability to maintain this higher timeline. I don't believe in the other timeline and its viability. I do believe that there is an astral war taking place, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And I was actually helpful to be told that because I was like, you know what? As I thought about it more, it didn't scare me. I actually felt proud that like we are being defended and helped so much, but we are also taking it into our own power, that aspects and fractals of our own beings are also out there fighting in the dream state, and there's so many animals helping us. Um, we have so much help. So what I was told in the session, I think the last thing they said is that this war is pretty much almost complete. It's almost done. Not saying that everything is going to be peachy and beautiful in 2026. Yes, this is the year of the horse. Yes, this is the year of movement. But depending on where you are in your healing process, your density of consciousness, your belief system, et cetera, what do you want? It could be and look different for everybody. So it could be a really great year and you're on this Mustang and you are just soaring through the fields, just happy and everything is lining up for you. Or you could be getting bucked off that horse because you're self-sabotaging. And I really truly believe it's our choice. So be mindful of that. And be mindful of really co-helping and co-creating what it is that we want. Because the more power we have is not a hive mind, but it's a collective consciousness. So if we unify and we work together and we stop competing and we stop with this division and hatred towards each other in many facets, in many ways that they create in our environment so that we do not like each other or we have a reason to choose sides, that is how they hook us in. So try to be neutral. Try to look at things from a macro perspective because everything will look different from up there. Then you will start to see other people's points of view. You will start to notice, oh gosh, maybe I was wrong. And it's okay to be wrong because sometimes we learn that way. Sometimes we need to be wrong. Sometimes we need to be humbled, to be honest. And we unify and we work together. So I hope this video comes across in a way where I have identified issues and concerns, but I have made it clear that there are many solutions and many ways to reclaim our power, which I really feel like we already have. We have already won this war. It's just in the physical realm, it's just working its way out in the physical sense. But in the astral sense, in the higher aspect, I believe that there are pocket civilizations all over the planet, everywhere actually, where there are already future versions of ourself. This is the last thing I'm going to say. There's a future version of me in Florida, in a higher dimension, fifth, sixth, seventh, I don't know, in a pocket civilization where the Aramis Creative Learning Center has already opened, it's already thriving, and it's already done. And I'm living in a society where we have utopia, but by choice, not by forced by the show that I was talking about. We have achieved the ascension, evolution, a unified consciousness of peace and just and equality, and we don't have the sabotage anymore. The saboteurs are not able to live or coexist in those pocket civilizations. So there are already versions of us in higher realms, in higher pocket civilizations all over the world that exist right in this moment that are future versions of humanity already playing out where we are headed. We are just working to get our consciousness to tune into that. And they are doing everything they can to tune us out. So if you look at it that way, hopefully that helps. In the United States, South America, all over Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Did I say Africa? Africa. Every single continent of this planet already has pocket civilizations that are in existence, that are thriving, that have galactic communication and envoys and technology, but also peace, harmony, and the future of education, the future of technology, the future of leadership, the future of every paradigm that's collapsing right now. It's already done. It's already happened, and it's already in existence in these pocket civilizations someplace else in a higher dimension that we are all connected to. So I know there's another version of myself running Aramis School. But right now, in the dimension my consciousness is connected to, we're just not quite there yet. And that's the part of us they're trying to sabotage. So this is probably the most important part of the video is at the end of what I'm saying right now. And I want to make sure I'm very clear about what I'm saying. This is the most important aspect. Tune into the higher version of yourself, the higher timeline that's already in existence in that pocket civilization, which is where we are going as this civilization, this third dimension, continues to dissolve and transmutes. And what happens to those beings and who choose to stay is not for me to determine. I'm not God. They may end up in another pocket civilization someplace else where they live out a reality that is more in alignment and in tune with what they want, maybe to be enslaved, maybe to be controlled, maybe what worse. But that is not for us to determine or decide. So tune in to the higher version of yourself in a higher pocket civilization that is coexisting right now as we speak, that version of yourself that we could call as time travel or the future version of yourself. Tune into that and do everything you can to maintain your sovereignty and your power and reclaim it in this now time and space so that you cannot be hijacked, so that you are either a harmonizer or a disruptor or everything in between. And that is how we continue to win and keep an upwards trajectory and keep things going. Thank you so much for taking the time. For those of you who actually just watched this entire video, I have no idea how long it was. I'm sure there's so much more I could have said, and I'm gonna regret immediately as soon as I turn this off that I forgot. But hopefully it was enough. Hopefully I got you thinking. And hopefully it was helpful, because that's my intention. No fear, just empowerment. Knowledge is power. The end. Period. That's how we're going to end it. Knowledge is power. So thank you all. I hope this video has found you well. Until next time, see you guys again really soon. Actually, on Thursday, for our live. See you then. Bye.